Emma Heming Willis has spoken, and once again, her words have ignited a storm of conversation, debate, and heartfelt emotion. The wife of legendary Hollywood actor Bruce Willis, who has been bravely battling frontotemporal dementia, has opened up about the deeply personal decision to move Bruce into a separate home designed to accommodate his health needs. But while Emma revealed this choice was made out of love, care, and necessity, the internet had other ideas. The criticism came fast, the opinions came loud, and Emma has now fired back with a powerful response that leaves no room for doubt. So let's break this all down. What exactly is happening in the Willis household, why Emma is receiving criticism, and how she's chosen to respond not only as a wife and mother, but as a woman standing at the center of a heartbreaking family journey. Bruce Willis, the Hollywood action hero we know from Die Hard, The Sixth Sense, Armageddon, and dozens of other iconic roles, has been living with frontotemporal dementia, a devastating condition that strips away language, memory, and behavior over time. His diagnosis, first shared with the public in 2022 after an initial struggle with aphasia, shocked the world and immediately sparked waves of support. But behind the headlines, Bruce's family, his wife Emma, his ex-wife Demi Moore, and his 5 daughters have been navigating an unimaginable reality. For years, Emma has been his primary caregiver. She has documented pieces of their journey on social media, not as a spectacle, but as a way to raise awareness about dementia and to connect with other families going through the same. Recently, however, Emma revealed something that shook fans. Bruce is no longer living under the same roof as his wife and 2 young daughters. Instead, he now resides in a separate, specially designed one-story home close by, cared for around the clock by a professional team. Now, to most people, this sounded like a heartbreaking but practical step. Dementia patients often need environments that are safer, simpler, and easier to navigate. A quiet home, fewer stairs, a predictable routine. These things aren't luxuries, they're necessities. But when the news broke, a storm of criticism followed. Online, some voices accused Emma of distancing herself, even going so far as to cruelly suggest she was getting rid of an inconvenience. Those words hit hard, and they sparked the emotional response Emma gave just days later. Emma took to social media and said plainly, "The opinions are so loud and they're so noisy. But if they don't have the experience of this, they don't get a say. And they definitely don't get a vote." With those words, she drew a clear line between those who judge from the outside and those who truly understand the life of a caregiver. She went on to explain that comment sections everywhere seem divided into 2 groups, people with opinions and people with actual experience. And as Emma put it, only the second group has any authority to speak on what this journey feels like. Her reasoning for moving Bruce was deeply thoughtful, and it came from a place of love for both him and their children. She explained that their daughters, Mabel and Evelyn, are still young. They're 13 and 11 years old, living through formative years where they need a home environment that feels normal, stable, and not entirely consumed by the constant demands of caregiving. Bruce's needs have grown beyond what a household full of children can accommodate, so the family made a choice, one that Emma insists Bruce himself would want. "Bruce would want that for our daughters," she said, stressing that the separate home was not about neglecting him, but about balancing the needs of everyone involved. And despite the physical separation, Bruce is far from isolated. Emma described how she and the girls spend time with him daily, eating breakfast together, sharing dinners, and keeping him surrounded by love. The home itself is described as calm, warm, and filled with laughter. His language may be fading, but his physical health remains strong, and the family continues to find new ways to connect with him. Of course, the internet had mixed reactions. On one side, there was an outpouring of support. Fans flooded Emma's posts with messages praising her honesty, compassion, and courage. Many caregivers, especially those who have walked a similar road, spoke up to say, "We get it. We've been there. You're doing the right thing." Bruce's daughter, Tallulah, even commented publicly, thanking Emma and declaring her love and gratitude for all she does for the family. On the other side, though, the critics kept coming. Some repeated accusations that Emma was distancing herself. Others speculated endlessly about what this means for Bruce's marriage and for his future. But Emma has been clear, this isn't about public opinion. It isn't about optics. It's about survival. It's about finding a way to carry her family through a situation no one would ever choose. And she's not letting the noise drown out her purpose. What's especially powerful here is that Emma isn't just sharing her family's private struggle. She's turning it into advocacy. In fact, she has a memoir coming out in just days, titled The Unexpected Journey: Finding Strength, Hope, and Yourself on the Caregiving Path. It's a deeply personal book that reflects on her own life with Bruce, but also aims to provide solidarity for anyone who has had to care for a loved one through illness. She's taking her pain and transforming it into guidance for others, a move that further cements her role not just as Bruce's wife, but as a public voice for caregiving families. Now, let's take a step back and really understand the weight of what she's carrying. Emma is 47 years old, raising 2 young girls, while caring for her husband, a man the world knows as one of the toughest action stars of all time. She's balancing visits with Bruce's adult daughters, Rumor, Scout, and Tallulah, while managing a home, writing a book, and shielding her children from relentless tabloid speculation. She's also navigating grief in real time, watching her husband fade piece by piece, while the world watches too. For anyone to judge her from the sidelines, without understanding the crushing emotional weight of this life, is not just unfair, it's cruel. Yet Emma continues to face it all with grace. She posts openly about the joys and struggles. She thanks other caregivers, shining a light on a community often ignored. She never pretends this is easy, but she never portrays it as hopeless either. And that's exactly why her words resonate so strongly. At its core, this isn't just about Bruce Willis. It's about what it means to love someone through the hardest times. It's about the sacrifice caregivers make, the invisible battles fought behind closed doors, and the courage it takes to keep going when everyone around you has an opinion. Emma Heming Willis is showing us that you can't measure love by proximity, but by presence, intention, and devotion. And perhaps that's the lesson here. Bruce may be living in a separate home, but he is not alone. He is loved. He is visited daily. He is cared for with the best resources possible. And his wife refuses to let strangers dictate how that love should look. So as the public debates, as the critics speak, Emma Heming Willis is standing tall, firm in her choices, protective of her children, and committed to Bruce every single day. And in her words, if you haven't lived it, you don't get a vote. Make sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more celebrity updates just like this.